Hello, welcome back to the channel. This week I'm doing some quick takes on E3, and yesterday I gave you my thoughts on the Ubisoft presentation, which I wasn't really overly enthusiastic about. Today I'm going to go over the Microsoft and Bethesda presentation, and you'll be pleased to know that it was really good, and I had a really good time watching it. I recommend you guys watch it as well right after this video. Now, remember, if you like this video, make sure to hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel. And I forgot to mention yesterday, we have a Discord server as well, so come along and join us there, and I'll leave a link in the description below. Microsoft and Bethesda showed off 30 games, 27 of those will be coming to Game Pass, and I'll list those in the description below, but rather than going through them one by one and rushing through that, I thought it'd be a good idea to do a top 10 countdown of the best announcements, and some games they showed off with DLCs or expansion packs, so this is a top 10 announcement list rather than a top 10 games list. And please write down in the comments below your top 10 list from Microsoft's presentation if you've already watched the show, and tell me what you liked or didn't like from the show. Alright, let's get right into it. Okay, at number 10 it was Halo Infinite, and I have to say this almost didn't make the list. Firstly, they went again to a CG cutscene. You know how I feel about those versus gameplay footage, but the reason it didn't make the list was that it's not really doing anything for me from an artistic or creative point of view, and it still looks like what Halo looked like 20 years ago. The second thing is that I'm not really sure this game looks ready from a technical standpoint, and it's supposed to be coming out this holiday season. They showed off some in-game multiplayer footage, but it looks very quickly like they cut to some rendered footage, which could have been from the replay mode, but it looked different to the actual gameplay, multiplayer gameplay. So I'm a bit worried about it from a technical perspective. Now, the reason it does make the list at number 10 is because there are some moments in the multiplayer that do look impressive, but there just wasn't enough of it. Look, I do hope it does well because it will just save us all from a lot of console warring. Number 9 is a game called Shredders, and no, it doesn't have anything to do with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This is a snowboarding game and it looks pretty good. Yesterday we had something very similar with Riders Republic at Ubisoft's presentation, and I like that Shredders focuses just on snowboarding, and it has the potential to possibly flesh out snowboarding more than Riders Republic. I would have liked to see more gameplay, but at least it was in-game footage. Number 8, Diablo II Resurrection. You know it's Diablo 2 when that font pops up, and it's coming at the same time for both PC and consoles. For a really old game, this looks like it's being given the right remaster treatment, and it looks different enough to be called a remake, but I believe it's a remaster because you can switch back and forth between the old graphics and the new graphics, so the fundamental gameplay underneath is mostly the same. Number 7 is S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 Heart of Chernobyl. This was an announcement that did almost everything right. It showed mostly gameplay and in-game footage, and even though it's spliced in some story elements, it was still in-game. Now, it's a bit lower here on the list than I initially had it, because when I watched over it again, it didn't look like they showed that much. Still, for the 30 seconds or so that they showed of the action sequence, it still looked pretty good. Number 6 is Far Cry 6. I find it really strange that Ubisoft didn't show any gameplay of Far Cry 6 in their presentation, instead opting to show it for Microsoft's presentation. Yesterday I was wondering how far along the game is in development, but today they showed a lot of in-game footage, even though most of it was spliced up into a trailer. I've heard some comments that the graphics are a downgrade, and yes, if you compare it to the very first trailer that they showed last year, it is, but what's shown here looks really good, and it's clear that Ubisoft artists are some of the world's best. Number 5, Psychonauts 2. Back in the day, I remember Psychonauts winning Eurogamer's 2005 Game of the Year over games like God of War, Shadow of the Colossus, and Resident Evil 4. And I never ended up playing it, but finally for fans who've been waiting for a sequel, it's here at last, and it looks fantastic. The last game was made on PS2, so this is a huge step up, and it was not a very good looking game back in the day, but the art style here is so much better. Once again, it looks like there's a lot of humor sprinkled throughout the game, which honestly is pretty difficult to do in gaming, so I think this is worth keeping an eye on. Number 4, Back 4 Blood. So as you can see from this trailer, this is pretty much Left 4 Dead 3, and it's made by Turtle Rock Studios, who was formerly Valve South. So this is effectively the same team that made Left 4 Dead, and while yes, it's another zombie shooter, I think it's been long enough since Left 4 Dead 2 that people are going to enjoy this one again. Number 3, Age of Empires 4. At first I thought they were cheating a little bit with their real, non-CG footage, but I think most fans aren't expecting Age of Empires to win any graphics awards. It looks like a faithful recreation of the old real-time strategy games, and it looks like it's taken a few ideas from the Total War series as well. It's obviously impossible to judge a strategy game from a trailer, but this was an exciting reveal of the gameplay, and real-time strategy fans finally have something to look forward to. Number 2, Battlefield 2042. I'll admit I don't play Battlefield because I don't play a lot of first-person shooter games, but I've definitely played a few rounds of it throughout the years. The Battlefield games have always been graphical showstoppers, and Battlefield 5 was one of the first games to have ray tracing. In Battlefield 2042, I feel like they're going for a different style, and it looks like they're putting more emphasis on intensity and energy into every battle, with some battles having tornadoes in the thick of the action. The trailer mostly showed off one map which looked like it could have been a place like Abu Dhabi or Dubai, a big modern Middle Eastern city overtaken by a massive tornado sandstorm. The art style is interesting. It's almost as if there's a red filter over this map, and I'm not exactly sure how that's going to hold up in the long run, but the other maps they showed have a different aesthetic. But overall, I thought this was a really impressive showing from EA, and right now this could be the biggest game of the year. Number 1. Now this might be a little bit biased, but my biggest announcement from the show was Forza Horizon 5. I played quite a bit of 4, and Horizon 5 is quite a step up graphically from 4. This is a cross-gen title, but you wouldn't know it just from watching the trailer. Horizon 5 is set in Mexico, a fantastic setting for the scenery and visuals, and just like in the previous games, the emphasis is on a variety of scenery to drive past, so you'll go from mountains to volcanoes to small Mexican towns, jungles and beaches. This game also looks mostly ready for launch, and they showed off a lot of gameplay footage. Okay, so that's my top 10. There were a lot of other announcements, such as the first game they showed, Starfield, and the last game they showed, which was Redfall, which didn't make my top 10, mostly because there was just too much CG footage, or they didn't really announce anything other than the title. But what's cool about Xbox right now is Xbox Game Pass, and many games coming day one to the service, and I think that's going to be really fun and great value for Xbox and PC gamers. Okay, that's going to be it for this one. If you like this video, make sure to click the like button and also subscribe to the channel. We're going to be doing more E3 takes this week, so I'll catch you guys in the next one.